It's recorded.
All right, good morning. We are here for our October 9th, 2024 Policy Committee meeting. Frank McCree, Matt Bergeron, myself are present. Barbara Owens will be joining us soon. The plan for today is to try and tackle the 5,500 section of policies, which is student records. So Voorheesville's policy is quite old. It's from 2003, and we have NISBA updates from March of 2020 that we need to get in place. Some of them relate to updates to the law. So there, I don't want to say there's urgency around this because it's been a while that this has been on our to-do list, but we'd like to try and knock this section of policies out ASAP. So unless anyone else has anything they want to cover up front, I say we jump into 5,500 student records. Everybody good?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So we have in our policies folder a draft policy, 5,500 student records, April 2024, which is the draft that we've been working off of. So I think at least Tricia Putman, Tim Creamer, and I had all reviewed this policy during the last school year. Matt, I think you've looked at it because I saw you have some comments in there. So I suggest we just kind of jump in and scroll through it and address the comments. So I'm just going to scroll down. Frank, you have it up because I see your cursor in there. I also have it up on my own screen.
Okay.
I can be the drafter if we make any edits.
Perfect.
You should be able to see them on your end since it's the Google Doc in the shared folder. So I think everyone was good with pages 1 and 2. Page 3, Tricia had asked a question about education record, including grades on peer graded papers before they're collected and recorded by a teacher. Frank, you had responded that this is like self-graded or peer work that doesn't get counted in their grade.
Yeah. That's like the formative assessments, like they don't get counted as grades. Those are just like an understanding of or check of understanding of where the child is. So that's what that means.
Okay. So I'm good with leaving this as is with the clarification. Matt, any concerns?
No.
Okay, good. And then I'm going to scroll to top of page 4. There is a section on volunteers being considered within the definition of a school official, and kind of outlining their access to school records. I think everyone is a little concerned by this. So I am partial to the optional text that was suggested by NISBA about the district prohibiting volunteers from accessing student information. And if, a volunteer happens to come across student information in the course of their volunteer duties, they will not redisclose and have to basically keep that information confidential. I don't know how everybody else feels.
I'll let you all speak first before I make my comment.
Hello. I think I don't know that I have an opinion. I really am curious about what the district's operational needs are. I can see both sides of it, so I'm going to keep my powder dry on this one.
Yeah. So here's my concern with this, right? When they're saying of personal identifiable information, so we're talking student's name, grade level. And that really should be all that they're getting, right? And so it doesn't say about the limiting of it. You know, the district uses reasonable methods to limit access to only information that's necessary. So that would be name and grade. Like, let's say I'm a volunteer baseball coach, right? Or I'm volunteering with a soccer team. They may need, you know, contact information to be able to contact the student or home. So that would be PII, right? So that I can see the guidelines of being able to utilize it and give the stipulation. So I'm okay with it. But I want to make sure that everybody understands when I disseminate this and give them the expectation, it's very limited for only specific purposes. And in most cases, it should be done by the school official, not the volunteer. Make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not sure I read this as only limited to PII. It says any information about a student.
Like, to me, I think the difference is, I mean, it's PII is the biggest umbrella, and within that or underneath it, you have directory information.
Yeah.
Which it sounds like, is that what you want to be able to?
Well,
give
directory
volunteers?
information is part of that,
Yeah.
but PII can be part of directory information. Like your name, your
Well,
grade level.
unless we, yeah, they can certainly overlap, but we
Right.
could,
Personally identifiable information.
but
is
we
the way
could
to do it.
say that volunteers are only given access to directory information. Although if we include email as PII and not directory information, that probably would be a problem for the uses that you're describing, Frank, like a volunteer club advisor.
Right, that's the thing. I mean, we don't have much of that because most of our club advisors are board appointed.
Right.
So
So then they would be a school official.
yeah, if they're appointed by the board, they're considered a school official.
So then we,
It's like the parent volunteers for chaperoning. It's the classroom volunteers that go in to the teacher's classroom in the elementary school, right? They have access to PII, and they already do, right? So our grade 3 teacher helper has access to that information. So I think that is where this policy is saying you may have access to it based off of your volunteer role to support the staff member, but you have limitations of what you can share or not.
yeah,
That's
then I think the alternate language works.
Yeah, let's leave it there.
Too.
Okay.
Awesome.
So I'll just,
So we're going to put in, instead of volunteers may be considered, we're just going to put in the alternative paragraph, right? Everybody's good with that?
Yep.
Okay. So let me make that edit.
well, the thing that they had there
Uh-huh.
before, let's go back to that real quick. It said that they do get access to it, and we are giving them access to it. That's the maybe considered
Let me
official.
undo it.
Yeah, I just want to let's use the classroom volunteer at the elementary school, like the teacher. What is it called? The room parent.
Yep.
Right. You room parent as an example. The district is giving them access to student information. Right. They have the student name. The parents give access to the addresses. Like I know from my kids. So I think you have to almost keep some of the language that was already the optional one that they gave, if you're looking at it through that lens. Maybe I'm wrong. Because
Does it does it matter if the form goes to the parents, like at the beginning of the school year, where, you say, would you like to share this information with your peers?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like as a parent, you get that thing.
If a teacher says that's okay, right? But if it's a parent volunteer, and I'm just playing devil's
Mhm.
advocate, right, with the group. If I'm a parent volunteer and I'm coming in and I'm sending that out and I'm giving it to you, then I, as a parent volunteer, am working as a school official,
Mhm.
asking
You are.
for that, right? So I think that's where this policy comes from, this language. But again, the other ones, the volunteer coach, the volunteer chaperone, the other language that you were talking about adding makes complete sense. But for the classroom person, maybe we need to have this. Sorry to muddy the waters.
So,
Because I think we are giving them access.
Are those room parents, for example, if that's what
Yeah,
we're going
let's
to
use them.
use, are they under the direct control of the district? Are they trained in requirements of law under this policy? But I think the rest of it is probably.
I don't like.
know.
I mean, I've been familiar with room parents because my wife was one when my son was in high school and he's a graduate, right? So
Mhm.
I don't think they're trained in PII, which they probably should be.
I would-
I think we really need to maybe tighten that up a little bit.
well, that's where I'm struggling. Like, are we giving them access to PII if you're a room parent? Like, a student's name, but
Well,
like,
I'm sorry. I didn't-
sorry, Barbara, but like when the room parents collect like the parents' contact information, like that's not the district providing the information. That's parents volunteering their information to the room parent for, right? Like we don't give that information to room parents. At least that's not how it was done when my kids were in elementary school. I don't know if it's changed.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, having served as a room parent, that was part of the open house, right? Like I would hand out the form. I mean, the form, I didn't make it up. The form was given to me,
Right.
and I think it's pretty much standard. And, and you ask the parent for the information, of course, and then there's the box that the parent checks whether or not they want to share that information with their, with everybody else.
And that form is developed by the PTA, right? Because the room parents are through PTA.
It's been a while since I've been a room parent, but in the past, that is my understanding of where it came from. And it was the same for every grade. I know.
You can argue it both ways,
Yeah.
right? But
Yeah.
as the school's allowing that person to control that information, that's all I'm saying, right? Like they're coming in, controlling that information. They have access to it because they were invited in by the school as a volunteer to help to support the teacher.
It seems so that they do need the training to make sure that they understand that they are, as a volunteer, in possession of personal identification information.
I guess and I hate to go back to it, but it sounds like depending on when we get there, how we define it, it sounds like for the most part, what they're being affirmatively given access to is directory information. Am I wrong there?
I think we have to define it better because
Yeah.
No,
when we get to what directory information is, then yes.
So is it maybe we use the prohibition language, but say with the exception of directory information,
That would
they're prohibited from that, and then it's still got the caveat of if they do come across information, because I don't know, room parent might happen to see an IEP or a
Right.
graded paper or something. And then the last proviso would kick in, which is if they do come across that stuff, it wasn't because the district willingly gave it to them, it's because they incidentally came across it and that they should know enough not to redisclose it.
Right.
And that covers pretty much any situation that would arise.
I'm fine with that.
Okay, so we would change this text here to say, I'll just paste it up here.
I need a copy.
Thank you.
Let me go get it. I left it out
I
there.
just want to make sure I turned my phone to silent. Sorry, everyone.
Okay, so we would change this to say the district prohibits volunteers from accessing student information other than directory information. The district expects that if volunteers discover any information other than directory information about students in the course of their volunteer duties, they will not redisclose such information to anyone other than a school official with a legitimate educational interest.
If we're going to eliminate the prior language that references training, can we put language in there that says that all such volunteers will be advised of that requirement?
Yeah, we can add that last sentence, the building.
This way, we're not using the word training.
I like
which-
advise. Because that's what training is, right? We're advising them of what.
Right.
Provide adequate,
So I just want to
will
I wanna
provide
just
guidance.
I just want to clarify what PII
Oh.
in Ed Law 2D stands for. So like, it's direct identifier such as, and this is what you're going back to directory, and I keep on in my head going, I think we're saying the same thing.
Yeah.
So when we do Ed Law 2D agreements and we say that we can't release any student like any PII, right? With the Ed Law 2D is the technology, in case you don't know. Sorry, I'm speaking in tongue that I know.
Right.
Yeah.
So district identifiers such as student's name or ID number can be considered PII. Indirect identifiers such as student's date of birth, place of birth, etc. Other information that can be linked to a student such as parent's name or address. So that's when you look at Ed Law 2D, those are the things in that idea that we say you can't release when we're talking to computer companies or third-party vendors. So that's where my head's going with it.
No, and you're right to point that out because 2D is much more restrictive than FERPA.
Right, and that's all. So FERPA and 2D, it's still PII.
Right.
It's just different interpretations of what they are. So that's,
Yeah.
So I think this is what the language you put in covers all of it.
Awesome.
Okay, so we
I just want
have,
to clarify.
I appreciate
yeah,
that.
thanks, Frank. So it's going to say at the end of the school official paragraph, the district prohibits volunteers from accessing student information other than directory information. The district expects that if volunteers discover any information other than directory information about students in the course of their volunteer duties, they will not redisclose such information to anyone other than a school official with a legitimate educational interest. The building principal will provide, we can say either adequate training or guidance on confidentiality of student records.
Guidance. I can.
Mine's okay.
You're saying guidance instead of training.
Yeah, that's what I changed it to,
That makes more sense.
right? Is that good? The building principal will provide volunteers with guidance on confidentiality of student records. Everybody good with that?
Yes.
Yes.
Are you updating it in the draft one?
Yeah, so I just started a new paragraph just to make it easier to clean up.
Thank you.
But yeah, I mean, I'm now going to delete the,
Okay, no, I couldn't find it for a second.
so I'm going to delete this.
Can we just say even directory information, like they really should not be disclosing any of it, right? Because if somebody wants to disclose a directory information, they need to FOIL it per FERPA, right?
Oh,
I know I'm being nitpicky, I'm sorry.
No,
no,
I don't.
I don't think that that's,
They will not redisclose any information to anyone other than the school official with legit. I just think the other, they might have access to directory information because of it, but they shouldn't disclose any of it. I just want to make sure that reads that way.
Okay.
Because the only reason we should be disclosing it is underneath FERPA and underneath FOIL. Again, I always think worst case scenarios,
No, that's
like what we're talking about. I just think of like what happens 3 years down the road,
right.
right?
So do we keep it as accessing student information, period? district expects that if volunteers discover any information other than directory information, or do we, I mean, I think it's cleaner the way it was written originally, where
Yeah.
we're not giving it to you. If you see it, you have to keep it confidential.
If you are given it underneath your volunteer duties, it's considered confidential and you're not to disclose it. I think that's what the statement needs to be, right? Somehow, because you might be given student's name, you might be given student's address, you never know, right, what's given, but you're not allowed to share anything. That's the number one thing. Right? Like if my wife wants a kid's name because she wants to contact the parent, I can't go on eSchool data and find out who that kid is and give her that number. Like that's not okay.
Is it cleaner if we say the district prohibits volunteers from accessing student records? Since this is a student records policy?
I mean, that would be very different than like the form that you fill out on the, on the first day of school, like so everybody can know what bus number their kid is on. I mean, your school records are a very different thing than a form that a parent willingly fills out so that their child, can have information on the rest of their classmates, for purposes of whatever, birthday parties and Valentine's.
Right. And I think that's our argument, is that's been volunteered information.
It has been.
And I just need to make sure that I clarify that with all staff, that volunteered information is okay to share with parent and volunteer. The other stuff, though, the PII stuff, then whatever we decide here is what's important. Because those will be the two things I think people might get confused on if they're not doing it on a daily basis. They just need to be clarified.
Right, and that form is not being collected on behalf of the school, it's just being collected at school.
Right.
All right, so are we good with the district prohibits volunteers from accessing student records?
Yeah.
If volunteers discover any information about students, right?
That's the useful data. Yeah.
Okay, district can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
I don't have it. Yes.
So I added that. Yeah, Frank, you're right there. The district prohibits volunteers from accessing student records. The district expects that if volunteers discover any information about students in the course of their volunteer duties, they will not redisclose such information to anyone other than a school official with a legitimate educational interest. The building principal will provide volunteers with guidance on confidentiality of student records.
I like that.
Okay,
Yep.
Me too. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to delete the note. Okay. Whew, now we're up to third-party contractors. So Barbara and Matt, you're getting a taste of why it takes so long to get through some of these policies. But it's good. It ends up in a better place after we're done. And then I neglected to say at the beginning of the meeting, I'm in North Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina, and my location is open to anyone who wants to join me.
Like, hello.
Stop on by. Okay. Annual notification. So Trisha had asked a question about FERPA notification and whether this is on our annual list.
It is.
It
Yeah.
is. And
Yeah,
I think
we put it on, they double checked it this year. Yep.
Yeah, so I think what we have not done more formally is address some of the exhibits, like sending out the like the letter and the request form and all that. Like, I think as long as we're sending them the policy and there's access to the exhibits, I think we're good, right?
Yeah, we are. We had communications check it, and then we also had them check it with other school districts that they work at. And we're in compliance and doing very similar things to other districts in the area as well. So we're all kind of doing the same exact thing. So we are in compliance.
And what was the need for the QR code?
Well, it was
Just
just
for
an idea.
posting?
It was an idea of trying to just make it ease of access for people.
Mhm.
But sometimes QR codes, the problem with QR codes is when we send everything electronically.
Yeah.
Like people typically are watching a QR code here.
Uh-huh.
So then they have to find another device to do their QR code.
Right.
So
Right.
it doesn't work out as well unless you're doing a paper copy for people.
Well, that's what I assumed,
Yeah.
that we were talking about posting
Yeah.
a QR code physically.
Yeah, they're not as user friendly as we think they are sometimes.
Yep. Okay, so
And-
Trisha
Points that I've received from parents.
Trisha also asked about whether the annual notification is included in the handbook.
I believe it is now. I
Okay,
believe they talk about the ability to do it. I mean, because they did a lot more this year about the Bill of Rights, about being able to get that information out. So I believe yes.
okay. And if it's not required, but
Yeah.
good practice. Okay, we've got, I think someone deleted records, or is that like, right? So someone deleted the S, so let me clean that up in one below. Okay. Scrolling down now, I'm at the top of page 5. Okay, so we have a question from Trisha in paragraph 4. And this section is about what the annual notice and Bill of Rights must inform parents, guardians, and students about. That the district at its discretion releases directory information without prior consent unless the parent, guardian, or eligible student has exercised their right to prohibit the release. Okay, and the district will not sell directory information. So Trisha asked, how does a parent, guardian exercise this right? Frank said, written notification to the district. That works for me. Anybody have concerns?
No.
Okay, all right, so Frank, I'll let you resolve the comment. There we go.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I think we can delete this note. School districts, we got that. The district, so we have a question about how we will effectively notify parents, guardians, students who have a primary or home language other than English.
It was just more curiosity
Yeah.
on my part. How do we do that?
So there's self-identification
Uh-huh.
Upon enrollment, and also NICESLAT. So all of our students who have NICESLAT and do that, we also then have a parent questionnaire that goes along with it to confirm.
Nicest.
It's the test to be able to identify what kind of supports a student who doesn't speak English, like a primary English speaker
Understood.
gets.
Okay.
So it's a test and like basically services that we have to provide for students.
Understood.
We have our own person, Rebecca Wolf, this year. Last year we hired as a district our own ENL teacher,
Mhm.
English native language. I always mess it up.
It's known as so many different.
Yeah,
things.
it was ELL, ENL. But we have so that's how it's kind of done. Also, we have I think it's a good opportunity for me just to kind of shout out the fact that our whole district website has the ability to change for all of our parents. So even if they're not self-identified, our website is completely accessible. So up to the top right-hand corner where it says contacts, you can change it to multiple languages.
Got it.
So we do that. We also translate for our families
Mhm.
And do things like that as well with letters that have to go out.
Awesome.
And we have translators that come in as well. Oh.
All right, so I think we're good on this and we can resolve those
Resolve comments.
comments. Are you gonna do it, Frank, or you want me
Yeah.
to? Okay, thanks.
Struggling for a minute there.
Okay. All right, now we're at page 6. So this is the section on directory information, and we need to decide what elements of student information we will consider as directory information. Frank, you have a note here that the overall feeling is to limit as much as possible. I agree with that.
Yeah.
I think, what constitutes directory information is really broad. And I had raised concerns about that before. So I'll open it up. Matt, Barbara, what are your thoughts?
I'm going to delete my comment if that's all right. It was
Sure.
just a guy surprised by it.
Yep.
Can you scroll down a little bit?
Yeah, to your
or
comment.
up, I guess.
Yeah,
So I can see my.
Yep.
comment.
Yeah, I'll get right there. Can you see it, Matt?
Yeah.
Okay. So, name and date of birth.
Do we have any like benchmarking of other districts like across or other schools across New York State of what SUNY is accustomed to getting? I mean, I know this is not just like, SUNY looking for information on rising seniors, but that is a good example.
Yeah. That's really, I mean, but they're not looking for, as Tim Kelly said, that was from Tim. He's like, they're just looking for information from rising seniors and that's it. But they're not looking for ID numbers. They're not looking for all that,
Right. But are they looking for things like what course of study, are you getting a Regents diploma? Are you, whatever, or,
they really said no.
sports and all, I mean, that seems like a lot.
Yeah.
And to piggyback on that, I'm assuming the answer is no, but are there other means through which SUNY can get that information, or do they have to rely on how we define directory information?
They have to rely on
They have to rely
yeah.
on that. Okay.
And also you mentioned FERPA being one aspect of information that, is, but you talked about like that there's another, what do you say, like education?
Yeah, but that's more of like what the law says. So like the law and regulations. So FERPA is what information we give out.
Right.
Ed Law 2D is basically what information can people sell.
Oh.
Right? Does that make more sense? Like
What it can be used.
Yeah, what it can be used for. So like vendors or computer companies, those, I joke with staff members, if they click on a little button and says, yeah, I accept this, you're not the superintendent. You can't do that because you might be accepting the fact that we're going to allow them to sell all of our information, right? That's where the Ed Law 2D came from. Was from those like small click agreements they're called. So yeah, I wouldn't consider that one. This is more like FERPA components of it.
And what's the difference then? Like with SUNY, we're not selling the information; they're just requesting, and we're
correct, almost like a form, right?
Yeah.
So basically, it's a freedom of information request. Can I get this? Can I understand what it is, and how can I use it? So directory information, telephone number could make sense for if you wanted to give that out, if they wanted to make phone calls. But then again, anybody could get their telephone number, and that's the question. Is I wouldn't just say SUNY. Right.
Right. I mean, that was just a good example.
Yeah. I mean,
I like what Matt put down, like the specific things: grade level, enrollment status, date of birth, and address. That's.
Yeah.
I was trying to think of it in terms of like if we got a call to like confirm someone's degree, right, from a employer or something.
Yep.
Would we give out degree and award, degree received? I don't know about awards, right?
I believe they have to have a release from the employer to do so.
Okay. Yep, that would make sense. So, I mean, Matt, what do you think about, I know you have date of birth. Why would you want to include date of birth?
Well, why don't I just maybe kind of sort of an elephant in the room, but it's a tangible example is that, for example, voting age. You want to know if they're old enough to vote.
Yeah.
And so to give them information. When I ran, I made a FOIL request and specifically requested the date of birth so that I wasn't sending a letter to a senior or even a junior maybe that wasn't old enough to vote. And I think that's very important information for them to get, which is otherwise permissible under 2D. That's the example. That's the tangible example that I can think of.
Yep. Yeah, I understand. Okay. I hadn't thought of that. What about telephone number? I would not include telephone number.
I don't think I would either.
So I'm going to tell you what Guilderland allows.
Okay.
They use NISBA too, and I figured it's easy just to type in the number and Google it quick. I figured that would be helpful, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So Guilderland name, address, except information about homeless students' living situation as described below. Telephone number, grade level, email address, and enrollment status. So, and Guilderland's much larger than we are. So that's what they allow.
All
I'm going
right.
to see.
So
I'm
can we
about
start cutting some of these out that I know we all agree on? So
Yeah.
major course of study, participation in school activities, weight and height.
Yeah.
Those are all out, right?
Absolutely.
Everyone agrees.
Yes.
Photograph.
Yeah.
Out. So I think name, ID number. Do we need to give out ID number?
I don't think
No.
so. No, it doesn't make
Okay,
any
good.
sense.
I would not. I would not be good with that. Okay. So name, address.
Also, most recent school attended.
Get rid of it.
We agree on place of birth. No need
Because
for that.
everything's not in place.
Dates of attendance.
You know.
No.
No. Degree received.
I say no.
No.
To the extent it's relevant, I think a person can self-report that.
Correct. And we report to the state, how many Regents diplomas we get, how many advanced Regents diplomas. I mean, those are all there.
Okay. So it sounds like we're down to telephone number and email.
Matt,
And is grade level like the current grade level, or would that be the highest grade level received? And in that case, I guess enrollment status and grade level are kind of the same, right? I mean, your enrollment status, yes, that's just a yes or no question. And grade level, I guess, would be if you are currently a student or graduate. I mean, are we just saying current grade level or highest grade level achieved or something? I'm thinking of people who've already graduated and they've signed like a form with their employer that you can,
Yeah. How about current or last completed grade level?
that makes sense.
on enrollment status, it almost seems like that's
I say no on that.
superfluous. It's because that's going to be covered in the request. You're either going to request information for a person by name, or I would tend to think by dates, current junior class, current senior class, or conversely, a list of people that were a senior in the year 2023.
Yeah.
So,
Sorry, Matt, go ahead.
no, I was not.
I was gonna say it could also implicate other student privacy issues, like if someone's suspended.
Correct.
Yep.
That is true.
I would take it out.
Currently attending, not attending.
Killzerland didn't allow
They didn't
email address.
They had email address.
Wow.
Not telephone number though, right?
They got telephone number too.
I mean, I don't know how others feel, but I'm,
Hear that in my sleep. It's the Teams order.
sorry, I'm getting another call. Hang on.
Trying to find out. Trying to find shirts. It's hard to do on the phone.
Sorry about that. I meant to hang it up and I picked it up. Anyway, I would not want to include telephone number or email. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, good. What do y'all think?
I mean, I'm hard pressed to think of why we should be giving out email addresses or telephone numbers.
I would agree in that is, I mean, I realize, of course, you can contact somebody by mail, certainly.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about email address or a telephone, I don't know, it's like we're almost like giving permission to.
It's the next. It's intrusive.
I guess that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
It's a bit
it's
intrusive.
the next level. I mean,
And I mean, here's the thing.
And
right?
that has nothing to do with you being a student here. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
You can limit all this, and then if it becomes an issue where all of a sudden we find out, like, wait, we missed something,
Mhm.
it's easier to lighten up on something than it is to go back and say, I wish I was more stringent at the very beginning,
Mhm.
right? You can always lessen it. You can never go. It's hard to go back afterwards. So, I mean, if your gut is right now saying, like, what is the purpose and why is this? And everyone's saying we should tighten this up, tighten it up. And then if it comes back out where there's an issue, we have a board meeting and you make a suggestion to change it.
I would also say that is a moving target in that the email address that you had at the time, do you know what I mean? Like that's not current information. Whereas your dates of attendance, that's not going to change. Your name, probably not going to change. You know what I mean? Like your birth date, those are identifiable. Whereas your email and your phone number are not identifiers for you.
right. And the other thing is, I mean, I don't know. Do we want to contribute to, junk mail and digital littering? I mean, people are going to be like, why are you letting these people?
I think that it sounds like we're all meaning that we take out telephone number and email. It doesn't really make sense that it is part of a student record and it's very changeable.
Don? So our directory info includes name, address, date of birth, current or last completed grade.
Sorry, but it's easier for me to look up policies. By
No, I
doing it on
like
the
this.
computer
No, this
than
is
on-
great. I really,
To see all the different other.
yes, no, it's great to see, like,
Already, I'm looking up other
Everybody-
policies while we're talking. It's easier to do it on my computer than it is on my phone. So that's
Yep.
what I'm. So,
and everybody's having these conversations.
Everybody's
So
having them.
it's good to know, like, they might have discovered or thought of something we haven't.
Okay. All right. So I think we've resolved Matt's comment here. And then we can delete what we currently have in Voorheesville's policy because we are changing this significantly.
Yep.
Okay. Now we have the note about McKinney-Vento. And by the way, Matt, Barbara, when when we're done with these and Jess goes through, she will like clean up all the notes and the underlines of the additions and all that to finalize it for for publication and vote.
Yeah, I write final on it and then I send it to Jess when we're done.
Got it.
Okay, so now we were at the optional sentence having to do with homeless students' address, which says the district permits the parent guardian to select the school's address as the student's address for purposes of directory information. I'm fine with including that.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Like, why would we not?
Yeah, agreed.
Okay. Then we're at this is, I don't understand this. Students who opt out of having directory information shared are still required to blank their
We don't
student
require
ID
that
code.
anyways, so it's moot, right? It's not something we do.
Yeah, I would just delete it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Is that what my comment was? Like, what is this?
Yeah, I mean, if
Hard enough to make sure that I have my tag on everywhere.
you
I
don't-
can imagine being a kid.
if we don't know who they are when they're coming into the building, like we need to deal with that some other way.
Right.
Okay. New note, that's fine. I'm just going to delete this part. Trisha was asking again about FERPA notification. I think we resolved that
Yeah.
already. We do it as part of the annual notification.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, and can I say something for Matt and Barbara when those things come up? When we do policy, we're looking at, does it align to procedure and organizational structures? And sometimes I don't know those answers because I'm not also doing some of it. So when people ask those questions, like Trisha has very in-depth questions about our processes, please ask those because it allows for, I mean, there's been a lot of real positives over the years, right? You're shaking your head, RG. Like
Mhm.
those really help define what we do here.
Mm.
And then it's a checks and balance for me to kind of find out what's happening.
Yeah.
So it helps if those, so please don't think that we shouldn't ask questions. Ask those
Mhm.
questions.
Right.
They're very, very helpful.
yeah, and there's also the flip side, that discussion I would say that has to happen here in terms of if we're writing a policy, is it administrable by Frank and everyone who's in the building. Okay. Trisha has a note about, I think this is about student privacy, where she says currently working on Voorheesville's is outdated. So just for everybody's knowledge, 5550 student privacy, we finalized that in June. I was looking at it this morning. I did catch like a small typo in there. So I don't know if everybody can pull it up in the board policies section. Frank, maybe I'll just point it out to you and we can clean it up. It's in
I mean, if it's just a typo and it's no substantial change, Jess can just change it and update it.
yeah. So
Yeah. We don't have to go back and have it revoted on if it's just like a typo issue or grammatical issue.
Yeah, it's a typo.
Yeah. Just send it
Okay.
to Jess and she can update it right on board docs.
Okay. All right. We can do that. All right. So back to 5,500. I think we are good.
Yeah.
What? I
Yeah.
feel like the conversation about 5,500 has been like, that is policy to me. You know what I mean? It's like been like the one that we've focused on since the beginning and all through the end of last year.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. So this one's pretty much done. Jessica will clean it up. Thank you to Jess.
The second,
Go ahead, Frank.
right? It's adoption because we are, right?
We already have this one. It's super
Yeah.
old. So this can go on as I think a second read
Yeah.
or, well, no,
Yeah,
it's not a
adoption.
new policy. So we can just, wait, this says adoption. We don't currently have a 5,500. Let me look.
No, it's just for approval.
We do,
There we
yeah,
go.
we do have a student records policy. So this, from 2003. So this will just be on to adopt or to
Yep.
amend.
And just so I'm clear, that's also in policy in terms of procedure, like it's, I don't need you to go into it in gory detail, but it talks about when a policy
I don't think
requires
it's policy.
reading.
I think it's regulation. I don't know if we have it somewhere.
Yeah, it's not in our policies.
No, I think it's regulation, man. It's where your first read.
State
Yeah, I
regulation?
believe. I mean, I feel like every school district does it. I don't think I've ever seen it anywhere though. I don't know where it comes from. But training is always your first reads are for discussion, your second reads are for change, and then if it's finalized, now a board can always choose to, like, and this board's done it, where if you've done something and you change a policy drastically, you bring it back for a first read or a discussion in it. But most of the time you're just amending, right?
Mhm.
So, because if you think about how often you amend your NISBA documents, you know, with the new ones that come up,
Yeah.
you just amend them with the new ones. But I don't know where it comes from. I don't think it comes from policy. Does it, Archie? I don't think I've ever
I
seen a
don't think
policy.
we have a policy.
24
be.
talks
Go
about the formulation, adoption, and amendment of
The
policies.
board policy?
Yeah.
Is ours? Oh, all right, what's it say?
School board governance. Let's see.
You said that's 2410.
Adoption of policies. No official board vote shall take place on
There
a
you go.
policy adoption, change, or repeal at the meeting during which it is first presented unless a majority determines that it is necessary to do so. Otherwise, there shall be a first and a second reading. Formal adoption of policy shall be recorded in the minutes. And then there's a revision policy. Policy shall be reviewed in, well,
Yeah, does that say regulation or local on it? The top.
don't. Let's see. When I get the PDF version, so it shows me.
Thank you. Just wondering what's wrong.
Come on.
So this adoption has to do with a new policy,
Yeah,
right? And then revisions.
right. It's a format we follow. I just didn't realize we had a policy for it, but I'm wondering if it comes from regulation. Got it.
Well, there's cross references to sections of the education law.
There are,
Yeah,
and I don't see anything on there. I'm having a little check.
I'm gonna look to it.
Whether or not it's got the check mark there.
What policy was it? 2410?
Correct.
Thank you.
410. Yeah, so I mean, we have been following this for new policies where we'll do a first read, a second read, and then we'll adopt. But when we've been doing revisions to already adopted policies, we just put them on.
Apparently that follows our policies. So
Well, because it says amendment of policies.
Yeah.
Policies, it doesn't talk about a first and a second. I think what you were saying, Frank, is right. If it's a wholesale new adoption, then you just gotta have the first and the
Yeah,
second.
I'm just wondering where it comes from. If it's regulation that guides it or if that's local decision.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry to sidetrack us.
No.
No, that's okay. I mean, I think
Okay, we can grab a whole quick.
the whole revision of policies section, like, we have not been doing an annual policy review. I mean,
Right?
that's a lot of work. I think we're trying to keep them up to date, but we're certainly not reviewing every policy every year. That
That would be very.
That would be really hard. Okay. Okay. So I think we are good on 5,500. I saw you marked it final, Frank, which is
Yeah,
okay. So now we're on to the regulation.
Okay.
And there are some things we're going to have to mesh with the now final 5,500. So let's scroll through it. So we have at the bottom of page 1 another comment by Tricia about how do we do the notification. I think we've resolved that already.
Yeah.
Okay, then we have scrolling down further. And there are a lot of like weird gaps in how this is printed that we can clean up because it doesn't need to be 11 pages. Questions about hearings where someone has, I think, requested records and their request has been denied. Or let me figure out what this is about. I forget.
So Matt, your question about are these hearings recorded in any manner, audio, or I've never done one.
Okay.
So I would have to talk to our
Counsel.
attorney and go to counsel on that one because
Again,
I've never been like, nope, not something I've ever been a part of. So that would be counsel that would have to get advise us on
sounds,
that.
sounds good to me.
Okay, so this paragraph, this
Counsel would-
section,
I
just so
would-
everybody's on the same page, is about if a parent wants to challenge the content of a student record,
Mhm.
parent, or guardian, or student. Okay, so let's keep scrolling. So now we are on page 8. Matt, you had a question about who is the district's data protection officer?
Karen Conroy.
Okay.
Okay.
Done. So we can resolve that. Scrolling down, we have methods that we can use to protect student records. We have references to physical controls such as lock cabinets, technological controls, such as, and Frank, we need you to tell us what we
We have all those
currently do. Okay.
Yeah.
So
through BOCES. We have Eric, so like they have everything.
okay.
That was one thing that I did when I got here is we switched over to them for all of our stuff.
Who did it before that?
Okay,
Don't know.
so we-
Okay, that's fair enough.
I can tell you later. It wasn't as sound as it could be. Let's put it that way.
okay, so we have all of these as well as administrative procedures. I think we're good here. And then we have a
So-
note, Matt, good catch about Ed Law 1 being superseded by a new section of the law. How do you suggest we update that, Matt?
I think we did update it. didn't
It's
we?
in I put a PS in there. In 11, in other policies, it's been updated, so I would just, I think it's just called LGS 1 instead of ED 1.
Didn't
So whatever's in 1120, I think we can just swap over here.
Yeah, I thought we updated that one last year, didn't we?
It says that it's been adopted.
Yeah.
This just was probably a straggler result.
Oh wait,
I'm looking in
when was that
11.
adopted by the state?
Oh,
Was it
a
a
while ago?
Well, this is April 2024. I wonder why they missed that.
It was a while ago. I actually learned that.
Well, this NISBA draft was from 2020, so
Oh,
we're behind the times.
That's why
Okay,
then.
so here we do have a reference to it in 1120, LGS 1, issued pursuant to Article 57 of the Arts and Cultural Affairs Law. So maybe I'll just swap that in. Okay, I think we're good.
Yep.
Woohoo! I think we're done.
Ooh. All right.
We good? Anybody have anything else on the reg?
Wow, this is exciting.
Look at us.
All right. E1. These I thought, I didn't see any reason, maybe someone feels differently, to not use the NISBA exhibits, the E1, E2, E3, and E5. Anybody, we should go through them just in case there's something we need to update for directory info, but I thought that these were pretty good. Okay, let's scroll through them just to make sure.
Are they similar to ours? I think that I looked at these. And
Is this the one where we had certain exhibits combined and
So let me look. So I'm not, let me look at what we have in our policy manual now. So for student records, currently we have an E1 notification, E2 objection to release of directory info, E3 notification of release of student records pursuant to court order or subpoena. We have an E4 application
is there
to
a difference,
say that
right?
again.
Because I'm looking and they all say adoption date 2003.
Yeah, I'm like I said, I'm good with just substituting the NISBA versions.
Yeah, me too.
Rather than trying to do like a update. Just because ours are so old, and I have no objection to the NISBA ones, but okay, so we also have an E4 application to review students' records and consent thereto by the parent or student. This is more of like a release as I read it. I don't know that we need a form for that. I think we would accept any, signed, notarized release. Let me see if this requires a notary. No. It's kind of curious. Maybe we need to talk about that.
so does, in my understanding, that NISBA does not necessarily recommend a form?
So NISBA has, if you look at the bottom of E1, it says attached to this notice are 3 other important documents related to student data privacy. E2, E3, E4, Parents' Bill of Rights for Data Privacy and Security. I don't know that we got an E4 from NISBA, because if we did, Tricia.
We might already have that Parents' Bill of Right for data privacy underneath our computer policy. So I feel like that might be, it could be wrong, but I feel like that's clicking a little bit. That's something we looked at maybe 2 years ago.
I'm searching in our current policy manual to see what we.
Yeah, there is too.
Information and data privacy.
Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like there's something there.
So, protections of PII and student and teachers, principles under Ed Law 2D, protections of private information under the technology law, procedures to notify persons affected by breaches or unauthorized access of protected information. We do have a section in here on FERPA.
I just remember that was a big one that we worked on.
Yeah, so for Matt, Barbara, whenever these things come up, we have to figure out what we're going to do with our current 5500 E4, which is the what I would describe as a release form. So the information and data privacy is the 8635 policy, which is also, it's been on our agenda before. I think we recently updated this one. So this was last revised October 5th, 2020. But it is a cross reference, I think, in 5500. So usually when we look at these, we do try and look at the cross references and update those if needed. Let me make sure it's a cross reference. I thought it was. Yeah, it is.
And did that one say adoption date was April 2003?
Which one? The 8635?
Yeah,
That-
the one you were jumping on.
Oh, that was me, sorry.
Oh, that was you.
Yeah, that
Sorry.
was me. No, I was looking at something different, sorry.
So 8635 was last amended in 2020. So,
Great.
so we should think about whether we want to review, like 1120 is already on our list to review. And ideally we would deliver the 5500 policies with 1120 school district records. And then we also have like school volunteers, all of the 4,300 students with disabilities. I feel like we just reviewed those
Yeah, we did.
last year.
Do you think NISBA missed an E4, or do you think I might have deleted it or someone deleted it by accident? Because it's weird that they have an E5 draft policy.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like maybe we missed it.
I just asked Jessica to see if she can get it.
Yeah, let's
So-
see if they have an E4.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't know that we need it, right? We would accept a signed.
Yeah, but
from
if
a-
they have it,
right?
just get it. Just
I
post
think
it
we
on.
would. I think we would even accept like an emailed request from a parent.
Yeah.
So there may not be a need for it, and we can just abolish it. But yeah, let's find out. Okay, in the time that we have left, let's see if we can go through at least the E1, E2, 3, and 5. Okay, so on E1, there's a blank at the bottom of it, Frank. I guess one question is the 45 days. Are we good with 45 days?
Mhm.
Okay, because that was a question from NISBA. And then in the last paragraph, we have, if you have questions about these notices, please contact me at
So it'd be the building principal's name or whatever person is sending it out.
okay. So we don't
These
need,
are like,
yeah,
others.
I see. Yep. So we don't need to do anything there. Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Everybody good with this one?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So E2 is the notification of directory information designations. So this we need to update to match the changes that we made in 5500. So we're just going to have name, address. It's probably easiest just to copy from the other one, but I'll just do it. Date of birth. And then we said,
Dates of attendance is going to stay.
oh, it does. Okay, my bad.
Yep. I believe that's what we said.
Let me look. So we have
You have an I in front of address too. It's me.
name.
okay.
So we have name, address, date of birth, current or last completed grade level. That's what we agreed on. So name, address, date of birth. Current or last completed grade level. So that's what's in the, that we should add in, accept information about a homeless student's living situation. Okay, good. Let's see. All right, I think that takes care of that one. You just need to delete their note. Look good to everybody?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, so now we're on E3. So this is a sample form for releasing directory information. Directory
That's for
information includes a student's name. I think we should just spell out what we say.
Yeah.
Name, address,
Mhm.
date of birth,
Date of attendance and stay, right? Dates of
No.
attendance.
no, we took that out.
Oh, enrollment status, but it was.
So
oh,
the
great.
only thing we kept name, address, date of birth, current or last completed grade level in the
Yep.
5,500.
Yes.
Okay, so directory information includes the student's name, address, date of birth, and current or last completed grade level. Period. Okay. I think that's it. Okay.
Do we get any appreciable number of that?
3, 4 per building.
Okay.
It's not tough. We do get some.
All right, so now we're on E5, which is disclosure to the military. Pursuant to the No Child Left Behind Act, school district must disclose to military recruiters and institutions of higher learning upon request. Cool. So this would include name, address, telephone number. So that, I read this as being like a different law that obligates us to disclose telephone number, and do not have to include telephone number as directory information.
I think we have to.
But we don't have to include it as directory information. We are
No, we
required
have to include telephone number here.
As part.
because there's
Well,
a
then,
separate legal
Back to
obligation.
the SUNY question. This answers the SUNY question then.
I think they can use No Child Left Behind to get at least telephone numbers.
So, but we were talking about colleges before, and we were worried about it with the other information. It really doesn't matter because per this, it's fine. So.
Yeah,
I'm glad
so
we
if
took
it
it
was requested and they said no child left behind, we want telephone number, we would give it to them because we're legally obligated to do so. But we don't have to make it directory information.
Yep.
Okay, so
Good.
parents. Okay.
And
So
let me note myself to make sure that all this new stuff gets added in to the handbooks and communication that the principals send out. So when this is approved by the board, I'm then going to share with the principals. So then they update all their policy, all their letters and procedures since it's all cleaner now, so
Right.
just so you know.
Okay, I think we're good with this one too.
Yep.
So the only remaining question is whether NISBA has an updated E4, and what we're going to do with our current. I'm going to just make some notes in our exhibit, in our agenda. So. Okay. All right. Good work, everybody. So I think we're at 9:30. So why don't we break?
Can I ask one quick question before
Sure.
we do that?
Yep.
5605, super fast, and I know you got something. Is the voter registration one?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
I think we're good to go. I mean, it was just about processes, and I've confirmed processes, and we've done more this year than we've ever done. You know, we did National Voter Registration Day. We do all these different things. We have processes in place. Could this one be good now to have cleaned up and go? Because I think it was just waiting on that answer.
Yeah, I
If
think
not-
that's right, Frank. Barbara and Matt, you may not have looked at this one yet. It's 2 pages. Do you guys want to look at it quick, or do you want to defer?
I'm fine with deferring.
I would agree. I mean, that's all we were waiting for.
Yeah, I mean,
Doesn't
we
make
looked at
any
this one before. We've talked about it. We've changed practices to match out everything. So I just figured it'd be a quicker one that we can just get off the table here.
Yeah, so it does require like a little cleanup.
Yeah.
There's like a lot of like bold and italics and all that. If Jess can, or you can just clean that up, then I think we're good. The text
Yep,
is fine. Like
I'm actually, as you're talking, I'm sending her a little thing, clean it all up and add to agenda.
Yeah, perfect.
Awesome.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, I think this one's good to go. It was just a
Awesome.
process question.
Look at us. We got 2 big things done today.
So what do you want to focus on for next time? 11:20?
Yeah, so for next time, we'll tackle E4. We'll do 11:20, which the current draft 11:20 and the R regulation are all in the same file.
Okay.
And then we'll go through the exhibits quick, which I didn't see much in there that we really needed to address. And then if we want, we can tackle, if we want, I can add the cross references in here if we want to look at those again. The cross references to 5,500. I can add those just so we do those all as a package. So that would include, and I'll look at which ones are kind of out of date. The 4321 students with disabilities, we did that recently. School volunteers, I don't recall when we last looked at that. I think it was pretty recent, actually. The student privacy we just did in June. Homeless children, I feel like we did recently. The 8635, I might add that one just because it was last looked at in 2020. So maybe we can do 8635, E4, and then the 1120s. And then I think we're in good shape.
Could we add the AI policy? Because that's one that I've been working on for a while,
Yes.
and we talked.
Yep.
Can we add that as a first read to the agenda and have Jess clean that up and then possibly put that on to the next time?
Say which one that was again?
The 8636 is the
Oh,
AI
yep.
policy.
Yeah, let's add it as a first read. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, because I've done a lot of work on that. I got a lot of input from people, so I feel like it's ready for us to at least start talking about. I'm working with the shared district decision committee on a couple of those policies we talked about. I wanted to know, like, just thinking about it now, the building, the naming and staff memorial. Do you want student and staff input on that as well? Would you like me to get some stakeholder input on that?
I would.
Because I can add that to the DAC. I think that would give different perspectives,
Mhm.
especially from kids. Because I was talking to a couple kids about it, and I said, "How would you feel if one of your classmates passed and you passed a memorial each day for that? How would that make you feel?" And it was very interesting, the comments that I received back. You know, so some were like, "Oh, I think it would be nice," and some were like, "No, I can't relive that every day." It was very, just from the kids' perspective. I was like, "Wow, okay."
Mhm.
I'm not a kid. I don't know those things. So yeah, if you don't mind, I'll do that one too.
Okay, good. All right, so I think next meeting, we'll finish up this group. We'll add the 8635 just to give it a refresh. The AI policy will be on. Since we'll have the first read, we can start to dig in on that and get it ready for second read. And then if we have time, we can probably knock out student board member.
Yeah.
Because that's
Mhm.
that's a quick
one time
update.
change.
Yeah, that's a quick update based on the law.
Yep.
Okay. And then also when we finish, we got to look at the health services one separately. That's different. Okay. Okay. All right. I think we're in good shape.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks everybody
Yeah, well
for your
done.
time. Good work. See you
All right,
next.
thanks, Artie.
Okay.
Safe travel.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.